Machine learning gives us the ability to learn things about the world from large amounts of data that we as human beings can't possibly study or appreciate. Machine learning is where we teach computers to learn patterns from looking at examples in data such that they can recognize those patterns and apply them to new things that they haven't seen before. In machine learning, there are three families of learning: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. The two most common approaches are supervised learning and unsupervised learning, which is what we are covering today. Supervised learning is a method that requires a machine learning model to be trained with labeled data. The idea is that you teach a model by loading it with knowledge to help it predict future instances. We teach the model by training it with a labeled data set, basically telling the model what the data is at the input stage and also telling the model what the output should be. The machine learns by creating a link between the labeled input and output. The goal within supervised learning is that the algorithm learns by taking knowledge from labeled inputs and outputs and can eventually take in new inputs that are not labeled in the future, once trained, and independently predict the correct label for the data. Unsupervised learning does not require labeled input and output data. Instead, the model goes through unlabeled input data and identifies patterns it will use to group data. It is unsupervised because it has no teachers and no right or wrong outputs. The model is responsible for analysing the underlying structure in the data. We let the model work on its own to discover information that may not be visible to the human eye. Unsupervised learning uses machine learning algorithms that draws conclusions on unlabeled data. To help bring supervised and unsupervised learning to life, I will be joined by Aila. Aila, at 5 years old, is the youngest member of the Plain Talks team and will help bring artificial intelligence topics to life by comparing them to how a human child learns. Machine learning is a lot like a human child. As a child starting elementary school, Aila has to learn letters and words for the first time. Aila would not know where to start because she is not familiar with letters and words. As Aila grows up, she will collect more information and start developing the capabilities to distinguish between letters and words, which will help her create sentences and paragraphs. The only reason why we are able to make this distinction is because we observe our surroundings, we gather more data, and we learn from our past experiences. It's because our brain is capable enough to think and make decisions because we have been feeding it with a lot of data. This is exactly how machine learning works, continuously feeding data to a machine so it can interpret the data, understand the useful insights, detect patterns, and identify key features to solve problems. This is very similar to how our brains work. When Aila is at school, she is supervised by her teacher, who helps her to learn different letters of the alphabet and the words that they can create. Aila understands by learning under supervision of a classroom environment. This is like training a machine learning model using a labeled dataset in supervised learning. Aila spends time at home matching the numbers and letters in the right order as she has been taught in class during training. Once Aila has confidently learned the numbers and letters she has been taught, she can then complete a test without supervision to ensure she has learned successfully. There are two types of supervised learning: classification and regression. Regression models are a supervised learning technique that are used to predict a continuous value. For example, predicting the price of a house after feeding the model with the features such as the size, area, number of rooms, and price. In regression models, the output is also continuous. Regression models are great at making predictions of a continuous variable, such as the price of a stock in the stock market over a period of time. Regression models are also great for risk evaluation or forecasting sales or even predicting the weather. Classification modeling is a technique to categorize our data into a desired and distinct number of classes where we can assign a label to each class. In classification models, the outputs are discrete. Classification models are great for email spam detection, speech recognition, and biometric identification. Let's see how Aila is getting on and if she can help us to understand unsupervised learning. Aila has had a huge love for music ever since she was a baby. She loves to dance or sing along to some of her favourite songs. In unsupervised learning, Aila listens to some songs that she has never heard before and is able to segment them into different types of songs without any help or support. She picks out the happy songs, the fast songs, the slow songs, and the baby shark songs. Aila is doing this without thinking about it, by taking different elements in each song like tone, speed, rhythm, and instruments before adding each song to a segmented group. She might make some mistakes because she does not have someone to help her, but she will make less mistakes at the age of 5 when she has heard songs before than if she was hearing music for the first time in her life and segmenting songs based on having no prior knowledge or data. In unsupervised learning, the machine learning model looks to find things such as groups or clusters within the data. Clustering is also used for targeted marketing, when you have a list of customers and some information about them and you have to cluster these customers based on their similarity. Digital AdWords use a clustering technique to cluster these potential customers into different categories based on their interests and their intent. Great applications of unsupervised learning in machine learning models are recommendation systems and credit card fraud. Supervised learning is the more common of the two machine learning techniques discussed. It provides accurate results but can be complex, time-consuming, and expensive to compute. Unsupervised learning is less complex and takes place in real time, but can also be less accurate. The biggest difference between supervised and unsupervised learning is the data. Supervised learning deals with labeled data, while unsupervised deals with unlabeled data. In supervised learning, we have machine learning algorithms for classification and regression. Classification is the organization or classifying of labeled data. Regression is the prediction of trends in labeled data to determine future outcomes. In unsupervised learning, we have clustering. Clustering is the analysis of unlabeled data to find patterns and groupings to deliver insights. Wow, another amazing episode. Our question this week comes from Jen Rice, who asks, "Please help, I'm confused. What's the difference between artificial intelligence and machine learning?" AI exists when a machine has cognitive capabilities such as learning from examples and problem solving. This is usually associated with a human level benchmark in terms of reasoning, speech, and vision. As a subset of AI, we have machine learning. This is when algorithms are trained and learn from past examples in a model that maps features to a corresponding output variable. Machine learning is widely applied in different ways to solve complex business problems, but is a subset of wider artificial intelligence. As a subset of machine learning, we also have deep learning, which we will talk about more in future. Jen, thanks for sending us your question and getting involved. If you want to send us your questions, comments, suggestions, or ideas, please email tarv@plaintalks.co.uk. Remember to smash that like and subscription button and hit the notification bell to be notified when each video is released. Next time someone says they are using machine learning to solve your problem, you can explore further and ask them if they are using supervised or unsupervised learning. They may say reinforcement learning, but don't worry, we'll talk about that next time. Plain Talks, episode 5 done. From myself and Aila, we'll see you all next time.